So just to quickly bring us back to speed where we were holding, we were really holding in the middle of a sugya. The Gemara that we discussed last week, 2 weeks ago, right before Purim, was the discussion of the heter to work on the field during Shvius, during Shemitah, when there's Rabu Ha'anosim, when you had to pay either a tax or you had to pay the Chayalim, the soldiers for the king. And the Gemara says, Kedemachers Rabbi Yanai, you see the psak of the Rambam in Aleph, Kedemachers Rabbi Yanai, like Rabbi Yanai was Chavavim in Aleph, Rabbi Yanai would announce, Poku Uzru B'Shvius, Rabbi Yanai would announce to everyone, go out and you should plant during Shvius, Mishum Arnona. So that was a heter because of Arnona. So last time we discussed the 2 days in Taisus here, that Taisus at the top of the daf has 2 days. What was the heter? So 1 day is based on the fact that Shmias Bazan Azez Durabanan, so therefore we could be more laxed. Heim Amru veHeim Amru, right? So we discussed the whole issue whether or not Isurim Durabanan are mutter b'makom hefsid mammon. According to the first day, okay, it's Asrim Durabanan, but so what? Durabanans are Durabanans. Who says that that's going to create a permissibility? So you seem to, it could be, one could argue that some of the Achronim think that it could be that there is a heter of hefsid mammon when it comes to Isurim Durabanan. We don't have the same chomer, same level of stringency when it comes to Isurim Durabanan like we do when it comes to Isurim Daraisa, that you have to spend kol mamono when it comes to Isurim Daraisa. But the second day perhaps debates this very issue. Inami yishlemer to pikuach nefesh hu sheshel lahem mas hamelech ve'en lahem ma yifrenu meisim b'tfisas hamelech. We pointed out that going to jail, right, could be pikuach nefesh, and getting captured and being in jail, even if they're not going to kill you, but just being in the prison could be pikuach nefesh. So Taisus needed a bigger heter. Why did Taisus need a bigger heter? Perhaps it didn't suffice to Taisus just to say it was merely Nisa D'Rabbanan, because this is D'Rabbanan without pikuach nefesh, with just being a hefsid, that wouldn't cut it. That would still be a problem. But there is something major that is going on in our sugya that has tremendous ramifications la'alacha. So the Rashi in Puku Zru b'Shvius, Rashi says Shvius b'zana zed d'Rabbanan. Why? So that's like the first day, Shvius b'zana zed d'Rabbanan. But the problem is Rashi goes on. Taisus never explained why Shvius b'zana zed d'Rabbanan. And if you would ask me why Taisus holds d'Rabbanan, I'll tell you in a second why I think it's d'Rabbanan. But the Rashi continues, and Rashi says why debat l'kdushas haaretz. Now this puts Rashi in his own camp. There is one other Rishon that's quoted that holds like this opinion. This is a machlokes in the Gemara, in Yavamis, in the Gemara elsewhere in Shas, whether or not kitshel l'shaita, kitshel asilava, whether or not there's kedushas haaretz bizman hazeh. Rashi and the other shita is the Sefer HaTruma. Sefer HaTruma, the Tur quotes it in Yeridea. Sefer HaTruma is of the opinion batla kedushas haaretz. There is no kedusha min ha'Torah bizman hazeh, and therefore that's why Shvius is d'Rabbanan. Now, Rashi could have gotten to Shvius being d'Rabbanan, and let's assume Rashi held like the first day of Taisus, that we're more mekel by d'Rabbanan. Rashi didn't need to say the explanation that he said. Rashi says a much more fundamental explanation and a much more shocking explanation that really batla kedushas haaretz. What do I mean? Why am I saying this? Lamaisa, even if you hold like the way we paskin against this Rashi, and like I said, only Rashi and the Sefer HaTruma are in this camp, there is Lamaisa only going to be Shvius probably midrabanan according to many poskim, and that is for the following reason. Number one, the main reason is because there's no yovel, like Mark pointed out in the last year. There's no yovel b'zman hazeh, and the Gemara in Gittin links Yovel and Shvius. So Bizman she'ein Yovel ein Shvius. So Memela, there's not going to be Shvius Bizman hazeh. Why is there no Yovel? So because there's no Rov Yoshvei Aleh. Happens to be, I was with Rav Usher Weiss last week, and someone in front of me asked the following question, that what you brought up, Adi, last time, Did this change, and are we up to a point of Rov Yoshvei Aleh? And Rav Ashwai says no, and he says I don't believe these statisticians, and he said also because it's very difficult to know who is Jewish, and to figure out Bisman Hazeh who is Jewish. So he did not think that the halacha changes about the halacha of Rov Yoshvei Aleh when it comes to this.
It's not easy to say. It's not the Rabbanut is quite a hard.
No, but it's not the Rabbanut. It's the Jews around the world. They don't have necessarily data about all the Jews around the world.
At least you know if you have.
I need to know it's Rov Yoshvei of the world that are in Eretz Yisrael now.
What I'm saying is that if you say, let's say you have, just for the circumstance, 6 million to 6 million. Okay?
Yeah.
You have better chances that the 6 million Jews in Israel are Jewish than outside of.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. Yeah.
So
Okay.
There's less suffix on those.
Yeah. No. Correct.
Also, people on the other side don't know they're Jewish.
Right. Exactly.
So,
right. That's what I think. That's what Rav Ashwai was saying. Right. Yeah.
No, a lot of people think they're Jewish, aren't they?
Yeah.
But,
Right.
But then you have
Right. Right. Right.
So how would you know? Well, it's just suffix forever.
Yeah, probably. I don't. It didn't seem like. It seems like that's one of the things that Mashiach's going to be Megala. Didn't seem like it concerned him.
Even this man, Kushas where it's English, whatever, he still couldn't know then. Same suffix couldn't exist.
Well, it depends. By Shani, you knew that it wasn't. Right. You knew in certain times it was clear. But yeah, we're gonna have to probably need Nevi'im and what?
We found the Kohen gene. We'll probably find the Jew gene also.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's a Ruba de Isa come on. We could count it. It's not a statistic. It's actually we can count. We can figure it out. We just need a lot of time on our hands. Fine. So that's in terms of this. And the other reason is some want to argue that perhaps the Rambam holds that you need bias kulchem not only for challah, which the Gemara says beferish, but also for shvius. Fine. Why am I highlighting this? Because this Rashi is one of the major sources for the Heter Mechira. What is the Heter Mechira? The Heter Mechira is a suggestion that was suggested by major gedolim, that everyone holds of these gedolim. Like this is not the Rabbanim that suggested this. We're definitely accepted. The question Bisman Hazeh is whether or not, number one, was it right? Does everyone agree? There were certain Rabbanim that were against it then. But also, even those who endorsed it then, Bisman Hazeh, do we have to a little bit take a step back because of the problems with the Heter Mechira and what it's founded on? Number one, the Beis Halevi pointed out that, again, most Rishonim do not hold of this Rashi, that Kedushas Haaretz Bisman Hazeh is only the Rabbanon because of low kid shalas level. Do we have the Gemara in Gittin that I sent you? Did I send you a Gemara again?
No,
didn't go through? Okay. Rabbi said we're gonna have to say it a little bit balpeh. So the Gemara in Gittin, the Gemara in Gittin on Daf Mem Zayin Amud Aleph, Gemara in Gittin Mem Zayin Amud Aleph discusses the following machlekes, which is really the foundation of the Heter Mechira. Yesh kinyan la'akum lafkiya miyad trumas u'maisers, or ein kinyan la'akum lafkiya miyad trumas u'maisers. The Gemara is talking about the following case. I sold a field to a guy, right? Now, is the field chayiv in trumas u'maisers, or is the field not chayiv in trumas u'maisers? So that's a machlekes in the Gemara. Okay, fine. The Gemara goes on and says, Tashma, the Gemara brings a raya on this machlekes. The Gemara says, there's a clear brisa that said that a person sold a field to a guy and they're not chayiv anymore in trumas and ma'aseres. So the Gemara says, isn't that clear that we paskin yesh kinyan lafki trumas and ma'aseres? That a kinyan of a guy, a sale to a guy, does help to remove trumas and ma'aseres? Says the Gemara, no, hachmayaskinon b'surya askinon. We're talking about Surya. What's Surya? Surya is an area, Syria, that is near Eretz Yisrael, that was only endowed with Kedusha midrabanan. There were certain limitations. Either it was kibush yachid, there was something lacking in Syria that the Gemara says was only Kedusha Sa'aretz D'Rabbanan. It was never endowed Kedusha Mida Oraisa. So come along the Matirim for the Heter Mechira and say the following. Number one could be Yesh Kinyan Lakum Miyad Trumas Lafki Miyad Trumas Amaisis. But even according to those Rishonim, right, and the Rambam is one of them that what? That Paskind Ein Kinyan Lakum Lafki Miyad Trumas Amaisis. But what? But everyone holds Shvius Bizman Hazeh is only the Rabbanon. And the Gemara says that everyone agrees when it comes to Surya, which is only Kedushim de Rabbanon, that Yesh Kinyan Lakum Yatrumas Amaisers. So Mamela, we just found a Gevaldige Heter for the Heter Mechira. Let's sell our karka to the guy, right? And then what? And then it's not going to be chayiv in Trumas Amaisis. It's not going to have a din of Shvius. Shvius follows the agricultural mitzvahs of Trumas Amaisers as well. Oh, so before we get to Adi's attacking from other angles, but before what? Nachon. Okay, we're getting there soon again.
Heter Mechira is something that's only used in modern homes, or even time based Mikdash.
No, this was an invention of the Gedolim in modern times. No, it never came up then.
So
there's no Gemara about this.
During the time based Mikdash,
They kept Shemitah.
they really wasn't used.
Yeah. But that being said, to be honest, there wasn't any Mechiras Chametz either in the Gemara. That was also brought up later in the Rishonim and the Shulchan Aruch, but not as modern as Heter Mechira of Shemitah. That obviously has earlier sources, but we didn't have a Gemara that says Minayin for Mechiras Chametz. So one of the first tainas against the Heter Mechira was, come on, it's a joke. Everyone knows that you're not selling it, right? So that's a weak taina, because you could really taina that by Mechiras Chametz also. And Lamaisa is the poskim assume that as long as it's serious, as what people think about it and how their psyche approaches it. But if we're making a real shtar mechir, we're making kinyanim, we're doing things real. That's what's accepted la halacha. That wouldn't really wouldn't bother me so much. So Adi brought up another issue. Adi brought up, 1 second, there's a serious isser going on over here. You are giving karka to a non-Jew, karka of Eretz Yisrael. That's a beferish gemara in Avodah Zarah. You're not allowed to do, right? Leisechanim, one of the drushes, lo titein lo chanoya bakarka. One of the three drushes that we learn out from the pasuk of lo sechanim. We shouldn't give them compliments. We shouldn't give them a matnas chinam. We shouldn't give them a gift for free, a compliment, and we shouldn't give them chanoya bakarka. That's an iser de oraisa. So how do we get around that? So some of the defenders suggested that no. It's the Rishonim are mashma that the Isser of Chanaya Bakarka is only if it's permanent. But over here, we're not giving them permanent. We're going to buy it back after Shemitah. So that's
it's a real kinyan. It's permanent until you buy it back.
That's true. But if I plan to buy it back, so then Mela I wouldn't have it Isser.
That's the big between this and their stomachs, because you can't do it on Nasa Hatzer by Chametz.
Right. Amanas al-Hatzer and Chametz is a machlekes Rishonim, right? It's machlek. Yeah, we're machmir on it, but there were Rishonim that were meko about it. But I don't think that they were saying that they were going to do Amanas al-Hatzer. I don't think they were stipulating a Tanai. I think they were just saying as long as my plan was to buy it back and it was going to be a sale, just a temporary sale. I think so. I have to look back at the lush and the Rishonim, but yeah.
The lav kicking anyway, so I sold it to him now. And a year from now, I didn't buy it back. And 2 years from now, I didn't
right, exactly. When you kick it out, right? So maybe Eitan's right. Maybe it had to be dafka matanam nas lahachzer. So yeah. What? No. They need to take it. They need to take ownership fully. They need to take ownership fully. So let's say. So the Chazon Ish said that he thought that the whole thing was a farce. He thinks that the Isser of Chanaya Bakarka is even a temporary Isser. Nasat Dvarech L'Shiyurim, he says, since when do we make a difference between a week sale or a year sale? Or he says that that's an Isser D'Oraisa also. So he thought that would be a problem. So the other defense was that no, maybe the Isser, there's Rishonim that are mashma, that the Isser only applies to someone who doesn't believe in God. But if you have Yishmaelim, so they're like a din of a ger toishav, so therefore you're allowed to sell it to Yishmaelim, and you have to be machmir to bedafka find an Arab to sell it to. So they pointed out that you can shoot yourself in the foot, because if you hold that they're a ger toishav, so then you can't be makel to ask them to turn on your lights on Shabbos and to be your Amir La'akum, because if they're Taka Ger Toshiv and that's the way you're paskening, so then there's an Issa D'Oraisa. Exactly right. There's an Issa D'Oraisa every Shabbos of the week. So take your kula. You gotta make a pick. If you're gonna makel in this Shabbos of V'shavsa Ha'aretz, then you're gonna be machmir in V'shavsa on Shabbos Kodesh. So that was the tainus. So Rav Chazon Ish was very, very, very machmir about this. The Chazon Ish said there's no way around this issue of lo sechanim, but the Chazon Ish took it one step further. Chazon Ish said, not only do I think that you're wrong, now you're sending a person in the Rabbanut, right, a rabbi who believes in this heter, who's going to do this Heter Mechira, and he's being your shliach l'dvar avera. Says the Chazon Ish, we paskin like there's a machlokes 2 days in Taisus and Bamatzia and Daf Yudam Beis. One day in Taisus holds that when you send a shliach l'dvar avera, so the Maisa Shliach, not only that the Avera, that Ein Shliach D'Var Avera, the Shliach does the Avera, but the Maisa Shlichus doesn't work. So says the Taisus talking about for a Yisrael to marry a Grusha for a Kohen, would the Kiddushin work? Would it take effect? So Taisus had 2 days about this because Yisrael is not Chayiv in the Yisr, so perhaps there would be Shlichus. Taisus Ein Shliach D'Var Avera, and not only that it's now, we would have thought Ein Shliach D'Var means you get the Avera, it doesn't pass over to the Mishalech. Says Taisus, no, you take it one step further, the Shlichus is not Chal, there's no Kinyan. According to the Chazon Ish suggestion that we pass like that day in Taisus, so you just did a Heter Mechira, and the Chazon Ish said, the din of Ein Shliach D'Var applies, right? And therefore the Shlichus is batal. The Shlichus is batal, and there's no Kinyan whatsoever. So now, what you think, says the Chazon Ish, is that you just had a Heter Mechira, said the Chazon Ish, that you have nothing. So Lishitascha, you just messed it up.
That second part really add. You already said that it's no good.
No, because I could have said, all right, sorry Chazon Ish, I have my kulas, so I'll take it up with the Rebbeinu Shalom. I was over lo sechanim.
Right.
Says the Chazon Ish, no, if you're over lo sechanim, the Mechira is not chal.
That's only if you hold that it's not allowed to take on to do it in the first place.
Right, but he said, don't argue to me that it's just you'll suck up the Avera. Says the Chazon Ish, no. I hold that there's an Avera, and by the way, your gimmick doesn't even work. So now you got Shvius on your hands in addition to this. That was in the issue of in terms of lo sechanim. But here comes our sugya. Comes along the Beis Halevi, and the Beis Halevi says, you think you could apply the din of Yesh Kinyan La'akum La'afkiyim Yad Trumas Amaisris? Says the Beis Halevi, no. There are only 2 shitas that would hold that you could say Yesh Kinyan La'akum Yad Trumas Amaisris over here. That's Rashi in Sanhedrin on Chavav and the Sefer HaTruma. Why? What's the Beis Halevi saying? Lamaisa, Shvius is only the Rabban. Why is the Beis Halevi saying that you can't apply Yesh Kinyan La'akum? What do you think, Rabbi say? That what? What do you mean?
Kedusha is permanent.
Again, what are we basing? We're basing ourselves on a Gemara in Gittin, right? We're basing ourselves on a Gemara in Gittin. The Gemara in Gittin says, even though there's a machlokes in the Gemara if Yesh Kinyan or Ein Kinyan, so even if we're machmer Ein Kinyan Li'akum Yad Trumas or Maisrus, but the Gemara says by Surya everyone agrees, right? Surya was never endowed kedusha initially. Surya was only a kedusha midrabanan in the first place. Says the Beis Halevi, the only person who could hold Eretz Yisrael b'zman hazeh is similar to Sugira that you can now apply the Gemara in what? In Gittin, is Rashi and Sanhedrin on Daf Chavav. But if you hold what? If you hold that Eretz Yisrael was kitchel l'shaita v'kitchel asalavu, I have a technicality that I can't practice Shemitah bizman hazeh midoraisa. Why? Because there aren't enough inhabitants. Because there wasn't bias kulchem. Because Am Yisrael hasn't fully come to Eretz Yisrael. But the kedusha, the chefza of the land is there. The kedusha is there. Just as a technicality like Abbe Shvius. So how do you implement the Heter Mechira? How do you implement Yesh Kinyan La'akum Yad Trumas Amaisrus? Says the Beis Halevi, fundamentally, the whole premise, and this is a strong taina, is that not all kedusha shvius midrabanan are parallel and are linked to one another and are equal. So just because the Gemara said a heter legabe Surya does not mean that we can now apply that to Eretz Yisrael b'zman hazeh. And since Rov Rishonim disagree with our Rashi and Sanhedrin in the Rabbi Yanai's heter, and really, and even Tosfos I would think even disagrees, and he was just saying it was lamaisa derabanan, but never a heter linyan kedushas haaretz. So therefore, that would be another chisaron with the Heter Mechira, that what we're basing it off of, the whole Gemara and getting the whole premise, which is all based on Yesh Kinyan Akum, B'Yad Shumas or Meiseris, so that doesn't apply to our case. There is a chiddush Rabbi Shechter has, that Rabbi Shechter thought that, I didn't see this by other poskim, but Rabbi Shechter thinks that the concept of Mechiras Chametz being the paradigm, that what I said before, that you see that you could do a harama, you can do a what's the word I'm looking for? Not a trick, but a what?
Subterfuge.
How do you say it? Subterfuge, right? Okay, it sounds like a big missile for but you could do, speaking about the Russians and everything. So you could do a subterfuge with in halacha. So Rabbi Shechter has a fascinating chiddush. He thinks that just because you're allowed to do so for mechiras chametz, that's because chametz has an iser lav. It's counterintuitive actually. Rabbi Shechter thinks haramas work by isurim that are lavim, that by isurim, but for inyanim that are mitzvahs essay, like shvius, which is a mitzvahs essay, he thinks there's no premise for harama, and we can't borrow from the mechiras chametz into the iser of shvius. Fine, that was it. There were other tainas. Those were the main tainas, and I think Rav Soloveitchik was very was always suggested that where you don't need to rely on it, a person should not rely on the Heter Mechira b'zman hazeh.
Is there an issue for the guy on his own to have a part in the kedusha? Like,
I mean the person buying the Arab?
Is there any issue from their standpoint of having to get involved? Obviously not from the Torah.
Shem is b'nei Noach?
Not enough. But it's kedusha, doesn't fall the same way as Shabbos.
No. There is a discussion whether or not stam do goyish fruits have kedusha shvius. That was machlekes the Ma'abit and the Beis Yosef, and that fundamentally that affects whether or not Yivol Nachri b'zman hazeh has a heter in shvius. That could be part of the fundamental analysis of how shvius works. Is shvius a function of the bailim? The bailim have a mitzvah to be mafkir, or is shvius outside of the involvement of the bailim? It's what's called afkaisa de malka. The Rebbeinu Shalom sets a chalois on the karka, and it has nothing to do with the actual owners, and it's not through the chiyuv of the owners. So that might have an afkamina, the Ma'abit and the Beis Yosef, whether or not Peres Nachri has this shvius. Right. It's right. No, that's true. So in order to get the heter rolling, assuming you hold of the heter, the guy has to own it. There has to be, like the Gemara in Gittin, it's got to be yesh kinyan la'akum. It's got to be a goyish owned field, otherwise nothing happened. But whether or not we could apply that here is and extend that Gemara is questionable.
Well, so what happened? You never sold him. It says it has been his for
forever.
And then forever.
So that would be the machlokes ma'abed b'beis Yosef. I have to have kedusha shvius b'zman hazeh on that.
Yeah.
That lemaisa is a machlokes the Yerushalmis and Bnei Brak.
Yes, exactly.
Because the Chazon Ish was machmer on that, and the Yerushalmis were makel on that. When I lived in Eretz Yisrael, I was makel on that. I lived in Yerushalayim, and I think Rav Shechter told me that I could be like the Yerushalmis. Yeah, for sure. Everyone. First of all, now Bizman Hazeh, there's no the Bnei Yeshivas took over everywhere. The Bnei Brak all moved into Yerushalayim. Now there's so it's all everyone's All the Charedim are following Otzer Bezdin.
Yeah.
A lot.
Is there a difference between Sfaradim and Ashkenazim in that?
I mean, in terms of the Mechaber and the Ramah, I don't.
So what they hold? So what they
Oh,
hold the Heter Mechira?
I mean, the
Or
Beis
it's only
the Beis Yosef was Machmer on this Shaila, so they should be Machmer on Yom
Okay.
HaLach, yeah. Fine. That's in terms of those issues and this Rashi. So this is a wild Rashi. This is a whopper. This Rashi, it's fascinating, like tucked away in a sugya. You know, you wouldn't expect it, but Rashi apparently held, at least he explained this Gemara, that we go with the Deya and the Tanaim that Batla Kedusha Sahar. Fine. So the Gemara goes on to say, next story. Reb Chia bar Zarnuki v'Reb Shimon ben Yohitzadok have a ka'azli la'aber shana ba'asya. So Reb Chia bar Zarnuki and Reb Shimon ben Yohitzadok were walking. What was the purpose of their stroll? They were going to do Ibra Shana. But where were they? They were ba'asya. Yeah, where's Asya? Is
Asia.
It's for sure Chutz La'aretz. Is that Bavel? Is Asia? Is Asia?
Bavel is in Asia, at least
No,
for what we hold.
Bavel was so Asia is what is the larger continent, you're saying?
Yeah, at least from the current, it's
I don't know. What
Istanbul is actually the.
What do they say there? What's Asia?
Just outside of Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah.
Basically that's correct.
Shkaya Hard Scroll.
Actually, Israel technically is in Asia.
Right. No, right. But that's what makes me think Asia is not Asia, because like Shkaya, they were in that like half of the world. Like,
colloquially now it means Asia, but
right. Okay. Whatever. It was Chutz La'aretz. We'll go with Art School on this one. So yeah. So so they were walking to Ma'ar B'Shon and Chutz La'aretz. So this is a problem, everybody say. Why is this a problem? Because you're not allowed to be Ma'ar B'Shon and Chutz La'aretz. We learned this in the first parak.
No, but they were coming. They were shlichim shel bedin from.
They were going to Asya to do Ibra Shana.
But probably they were instructed to do so by someone.
Who cares what instruction is? And if I instruct you to be Mechal Shabbos, so
No,
what?
but they're going to Be'er, they let them know that the Shana is Shana Mu'beret.
But how could they be Ma'aber? Were they being Ma'aber or not?
I don't know.
What I'm saying? The Gemara says, Holchu La'aber Rosh Hashanah. So Hadi's saying what Taisu says. Hadi's saying that they weren't, don't take the Gemara literally. They weren't doing the full McCoy. They weren't doing the whole process and procedure. They weren't being Meichel and
What's the point of going to a specific place to be?
Oh, I think that's just where the gathering was. That's where the Rabbanim Chashuvim. That's where the trip was. We said we're going to meet in Asya. Yeah. But the purpose of our conversation is Lamaisa. That was in Chutz La'aretz, and Ein Ma'aber Sashana El Beretz Yisrael. So Taisus here in La'aber Hashana B'Asya, Vim Tamer, the second Taisus, Hechayu Ma'aber B'Asya Asya Chutz La'aretz Kedamrim Perak Chaschas Habatim, right? So Taisus needed a Gemara and Baba Basra to prove that Asya was Chutz La'aretz. So I don't know if yeah, exactly. Right. V'yesh loimer de la'aber etzon alomer lachshov. So Taisus says, don't get hung up on the word la'aber, but rather it's lachshov was just the chishuv. The Gemara we had the Gemara earlier, chishuv de ibur. It's the consideration of whether or not you would do ibur. So if you remember, we learned the Taisus on Yud Aleph Amud Beis on this Gemara that says it has to be in Eretz Yisrael. So Taisus quotes our Gemara in Chavav. Taisus says, "V'hadar Rabbi Kiva Ibra Shana ben Arda." The bottom Taisus on Yud Aleph Amud Beis, but we know Rabbi Akiva was Ma'aber Shana Narada, Bereish Perak Isha Shalom and Narada Michutz La'aretz, Shani Rabbi Akiva Shalo Yiniach Kamosa Be'eretz Yisrael. So there is an Eitzah. There is a certain time that you are allowed to do Ibra Shana and Chutz La'aretz. When? If you're Rabbi Akiva. If you're a Gadol Ador. If Lo Yiniach Kamosa Be'eretz Yisrael, so then you're allowed to be Ma'aber. What's the reason? So the Brisker Rav Soloveitchik, they explained, Ibra Hashana is not like a halacha like we just spoke about that's technically totally on Eretz Yisrael per se. It's a halacha of you need to represent the das of the Am. So where is the das of the Am? Kimitzian Teitzei Seira, right? Where is the Iker, the Chishav of who represents Am Yisrael? That's Eretz Yisrael. That's the people in Eretz Yisrael, and that's the Gdolim in Eretz Yisrael. Unless you have another way of representing Am Yisrael, how? Through Lo Eniach Kamois of Eretz Yisrael, like Rabbi Akiva. And that's what the Gemara was saying. He was ma'aber even in jail. The Gemara talks about in Brachos that he was able to be ma'aber there. So the Gemara says Rabbi Akiva was different. So we could have said over here. So maybe the answer to Taisus Kasha, why don't we say a very simple teretz? Because just like we said by Rabbi Akiva, that the reason why they were able to be ma'aber Hashana in what? In Chutz La'aretz is lo inicha k'moso be'eretz Yisrael. So why did Taisus say that it has to be la'aber is lavdafka, and it's rather lachshov? So the emes is, if you look at the Meiri answers Taisus Kasha by us and says, no, they were also Rabbi Chia bar Zrunki, Rabbi Shimon bar Yotzadak. They were lo inicha k'moso. It was exactly like the story with Rabbi Akiva, and that's why they were able to be ma'aber Hashana be'asya b'chutz la'aretz, just like we had by Rabbi Akiva. So why didn't Taisus say like that?
Maybe he didn't think they were the same.
Exactly. Taisus.
And the Sota says that there was no simanim in Shvi.
So Taisus there in Yud Aleph and Beis proves what you just said. If you go weiter in the Taisus just quotes the whole story of our Gemara that we're about to get involved with. Reish Lakish meets these two Rabbonim on the trip as they're going to Asya to be Ma'aber Hashana. And Reish Lakish, in the middle of talking to them, look what he says. He had a whole discussion. We're going to have to read the Gemara. Basically, what we're about to see is Reish Lakish. These guys are on the way. Who are we talking about? Rabbi Chia bar Zrunki and Rabbi Shimon ben Yotzadak. Reish Lakish meets them on the way. Reish Lakish is like, "Hey guys, can I come along?" So he jumps in the back seat and he goes to be Ma'aber Hashana with them. On the way, they find people that are working the land during Shvius. And Reish Lakish gets upset that these two Gedolim didn't give Musar when they were working the land during Shvius. So when they finally got to their destination, the Gemara says it's about it's the first word on the line is shalfua. Also kamed Rabbi Yochanan. When they got to Rabbi Yochanan, Amar lei, he said to them, Reish Lakish said to Rabbi Yochanan, Bnei Adam hachashudin al Shvius. These Bnei Adam that don't keep Shemitah are accepted to be Ma'aber Shana. Right? Hadar Amr lo kashali midid hava shloisha roi baker. Rabbana achshuvu samach. He says, no, don't worry, even shloisha roi baker are kosher. So you see Reish Lakish called them insulting names. So if they were low, Taisa says, if they were low inicha kmos of Eretz Yisrael, that's not the way you would refer to these Gedolim. So that was basically, that's Taisa's raya that these were not the Gedolei Ador of lo inicha kmoso be'eretz Yisrael. So that's the Taisa's answer. So therefore, it has to be lav dafkan la'aber, and rather it's lachshov. Fine. So what is the story over here? So Reb Chia bar Zrunki v'Rab Shimon ben Yotzag have a ka'azal la'aber shana ba'asya. Pagu Reish Lakish bumped into them. Itbol ba'adayu, he became tuffle to them. He basically, he took a back seat and he asked if he could stroll with them. Amar Izel Ichse Heche Ave Uvda. Let's see how Shimish Talmid Chacham. Let's see how things play out. Let's watch them. Chazilahu Gavra. They saw a man. Dikakarev. What's the kakara? What does Rashi say? Charish. He was plowing during Shemitah, which is aser during Shemitah. Amalei koyin v'charish. He said koyin v'charish. Zek koyin hu shecharish b'shviyas. Da'amrin l'kamon nechshadu kohanim al shviyas. The Gemara is going to tell us later that the kohanim were nechshad to violate shviyas. Amr lo yachol lomer. He could say back to us that the rabbis, in defense of this guy, of this person that Rish Lakish was tining that he wasn't keeping Shemitah, they said no. Yachalomer agistan ani besocho. He could say back in his own defense, agistan ani besocho. What does that mean? Zacht Rashi, sachir v'karka shal nachrihu. Okay, he's a renter, and it's a guy's karka. Inami mishum in a ploy, right? Inami mishum arnona sachru balabayis lachrosh. Or for the arnona, he's allowed to make the money to pay the tax. Okay, so Taisis agistan ani besocho perish akuch is lashon rishon sachar ani besocho. Like Adi said, I'm an employee. But don't worry, he can defend himself to say that what? It's goyish land. So what did Rashi just say? Rashi just said if a goy owns the land, it's mutter for me to work the land during Shemitah. Taisa says there's a beferish Gemara in Gittin that says that that's also on Daf Samach Bezim and Alf. Lena Hira, the Amrina Begittin ain't odrin anochri b'shvius. You're not allowed to work with a goy and set up a business to be chayrish on shvius, even if it's a guy's land. Therefore, Tosha says the only answer is similar to the Gemara that we had before, is Arnoina. So what's the teretz? So Tosha Rosh on this Rashi, he says no. Perhaps Rashi is explaining this Gemara according to Man the Omer that yesh kinyan lakum lafkiyam yad shumas amaisus. That Gemara in Gittin that says it's aser, perhaps that's good for the machlekes. They held ain kinyan lakum lafkiyam yad shumas amaisus. But maybe according to the Man the Omer yesh kinyan lakum yad lafkiyam yad shumas amaisus holds that what? That there is no iser and of goyish land, and that's when I'm allowed to be oidrin, and that's it's not a contradiction in Gemaras. They were two different shitas. But Rabbi say, Al derech the Tosha Rosh, but I think you have a much more basic teretz. You know, if you don't have to go that far. It doesn't have to be the machlekes yesh kinyan. We just got finished saying in our shir, Rabbi say, Rashi explains our sugya going according to what Man the Omer? Kedushas haaretz was badla. If Kedushas haaretz was badla, so then maybe perhaps that's the heter of why the Gemara in Gittin doesn't apply of ein oidrin b'nichsei anachri. That here it's going to be mutter. Perhaps the Gemara in Gittin was going according to what? According to most opinions, according to most Tanoim, that holds what? Kedusha l'shaita v'kitcha l'salavo. So therefore what? Exactly like we tied it before, like the Beis HaLevi said. So therefore even if you have kinyan la'akum b'yad trumas ha'maisus, even if you have a heter mechira, it's not going to do anything. Why? Because ultimately, there's kedushas haaretz endowed in the karka. We don't care about practically whether or not shmiyas is derabanan or deraisa. We care about we don't care about who owns it. We care about whether the land has kedusha. So Rashi l'shitaso perhaps can get out of this machlekes. You don't even need the eights of the Tosha Rosh to now make a new machlekes as sugyas based on the Gemara and Gittin of yesh kinyan or ein kinyan, and that's the answer of whether or not I could work on a guy's karka. No, Rashi himself is explaining our sugyas going according to the number but look kedushas haaretz. So perhaps the stum of the Gemara in Gittin that says that it is also to work the guy's land, that was going according to the Man the Omer that holds lo but look kedushas haaretz, and fundamentally there is kedushas haaretz in the land. So the Gemara goes weiter. So the Gemara says, Chazil ahu gavra. Then they saw another person, the havakosach bekarmi. He was also working with the vineyards. He was zomer the kerem. He was pruning the vines. Okay. Amar lahen koyin v'zomer. So he said again, another guy, another one of these kohanim that are chashed on the shvius, and he's pruning on Shemitah. Amrulei, they said back to him in his defense, no, Yochel Leimer, he could defend himself and say, La'akel beis habad ani tzarech. No, the reason why I'm doing that is what? Rashi says, Dadurta utzricha lebeis habad. What do they explain? The dur to here is over here. Anyone have the laze Rashis? Vav. Something to strengthen the grapes. Okay. I needed to strengthen the tree. Okay. So Taisus here in the fourth Taisus, la'akol beisabad ani tzarech v'kasha. The mikomokom mabekach, mikomokom mashbiach hakeren. Tahachi amrinim peraklal gadol hazomer v'tzarech le'etzim chayev mishum kaitzer u'mishum nuteya. Hachanami lechayev mishum avodas nuteya. Taisus quotes an important Gemara in Masechah Shabbos. The Gemara says a fascinating chiddush. The Gemara says, I can do an act of cutting, and I can violate in one action 2 malachas on Shabbos. Zoymer, I'm cutting, I'm pruning a tree, which needs it for its growth. The Gemara says, Zoymer is under the category of Zriya, of Netiya, when it comes to planting a tree. So it's a fascinating concept that when you actually remove something from the tree, it promotes growth. Exactly. So the Gemara says that's Zriya. That's actually more correctly is really Noteya, and you're actually planted. What? Yeah, right. Psukkah Zimra. And I said it. I think years ago. I said it at the. I don't know. You remember we had a like a get together a Suda Shabbos. So I said a few things on the Zmiris. So I said that many of the Mefarshim write that Zmiris on Shabbos is really a person is able to cut away from all of the lichluchim and all of the junk that he was involved with during the week. Is the ability to make himself grow through the act of Zmira, through the act of Zmiris. That's what the singing, the Psukkah de Zimra, and that's what they quote this Gemara, Zaymer with the Netiya. That it's not just a Zaymer of cutting; it's a Zaymer that's actually creating growth. But you're also v'tzarech le'etzim. But what happens if I'm actually cutting the tree, but I actually need those branches? I actually need it on Shabbos. I wanna use those branches for whatever I want to use it on Shabbos. I don't know. That's so the Gemara says you just violated 2 malachas. You violated Noiteya, and you also violated Kaitzer, right? So Fraktaisus. So why isn't this guy violating Shvius? If the Gemara in Shabbos is telling me Zaymer v'tzarech le'etzim is a violation of what? Of Noiteya, and also a violation of Kaitzer, so why isn't this guy, La'akol Beisabad, who's cutting and who's being Zaymer, who cares the fact that it's, I'm going to lose the tree and I needed to actually fix up the tree, La'akol Beisabad. But Lamaisa, on Shabbos you'd be Chayev, so why aren't you Chayev on Shvius? So the Girsa over here is, L'chayev Mishum, what was the Kasha? What did Taisa want you to be Chayev for? For Noteya, right? If you see the test, you all have a test there? Yeah. So the Marshal changes it to Kotzer. Rabosai, that Girsa is a major machlokes between the Marshal and the Marshal, which I'm telling you right now, this machlokes is one word in Tosfos of whether or not the Kasha is Kotzer or Noteya is going to have enormous ramifications to Hilchos Shabbos and Hilchos Shvius in terms of this Tosfos. This is a very, very important Tosfos. How the Girsa falls out in this Tosfos is ultimately going to affect Hilchos Shabbos and going to affect our approach to the Malachas on Shabbos. It's a wild, wild Tosfos with a wild machlokes, the Marshal and the Marshal within Tosfos, but Emir Hashem will hold there.